What up, Mafia? Welcome into the Bills Breakdown here by Chat Sports. My name is Moose, and on today's episode, it's always nice to make sure that you know exactly where your rookies stand, especially after rookie minicamp, especially when, an article from The Athletic comes out and has such glowing words to say about a bunch of these rookies. So we're going to get into the winners and losers of the 2025 rookie minicamp. Before we do that, I think it should be worth noting, this is what the rookies chose as their numbers. Now, these are subject to change. I think that should be noted. These are not the final numbers. For some of them, it might be, but you can still change your numbers. This is a soft, kind of like rough draft of numbers that the rookies have picked out. Like I said, subject to change. All right, enough chitter chatter. Let's get into it. Winners and losers. Our first winner. There were two winners, in my opinion, that really stood out, and two losers that really stood out. The first winner, cornerback Maxwell Hairston, obviously, who the Bills took in round one. Here's what The Athletic had to say about Hairston's rookie minicamp. Watching Hairston get out of his transitions, sticking his foot in the ground and driving forward, he was clearly the best athlete among the defensive back group. On top of that, Hairston was highly engaged and talkative throughout the drills. This is what you need to see from your round one pick. Someone that not only displays their athletic traits, but also takes command on the field as a leader and as a communicator. It's too often that you see a guy, especially a kid coming out of college, where they're so engulfed by the entire situation, entire system of, oh my God, I'm in the NFL. They don't find their voice, at least at first. But it's clear that Hairston was one of these players that day one said, I am going to be a vocal leader coming out of the gate. And that is exactly what you want to see. Now, there was a slight concern about his productivity in terms of his skill on the field during minicamp. The Athletic went on to say this. As for the on-field portion, Hairston's day was a bit up and down, talking about day one, in coverage. There were some occasions where he played a hunch and exploded towards the catch point in order to force a contested situation. Other times, he was just a snap of a finger too slow to drive to the ball. Look, this is the time to make mistakes, okay? And one of the things that we have said about Hairston is with his athletic ability, he is going to try to put that on display, especially very, very early on, I should say, in the early stages of minicamp. It is McDermott's job to coach those tendencies out of him. We want you to display your athleticism. We want you to jump routes. We want you to showcase that 4.29 speed. But if it leads to you busting coverage, that's not what we're going for. So learn to pick and choose your spots in this case. But in rookie minicamp, that is the time to make the mistakes. That is the time to know, hey, I can test the waters of what these players are going to be like. I can test the waters as to the speed of the game. And then when the time comes, especially in OTAs into, the beginning of the season and preseason, and then obviously into week one, then you have a better understanding for when is the correct time for me to showcase my abilities to not only be a ball hawk, but be the athletic corner that I was drafted to be. How many interceptions do you think, by the way, Hairston's going to have in 2025? Let me know in the comment section down below. I'm going to be optimistic. I'm going to say in year one, he's going to have 2 interceptions, which, again, is not out of this world amazing, but it's also a lot better than, 0. And I feel like a lot of corners coming into today's game, they might be one of the most NFL-ready positions, but you also see that it's one of those positions where it takes some time to develop if they're not grasping it right off the gate. Which leads me into my first loser, speaking of not grabbing it right out of the gate. Deion Walker. Now, I say he's not grasping it, not because I don't think he understands this scheme that he's playing in. I personally think that Walker's injury is kind of setting him back. Here's what The Athletic had to say about it. Walker was going through the positional drills and the defensive install portion of the day, but during team drills, he stood to the side. McDermott didn't talk with the reporters after practice, so no reason was actually given, but maybe it was merely a case of the team working Walker in slowly. I don't think it was that. Here's the truth. Walker's back injury was really, really bad coming into this season. In fact, it sidelined him for a portion of the 2024 season at Kentucky. While the injury itself might be healed, I don't think he's 100%. So I don't think you can say that it's truly healed as an injury, because if you're not 100% yet, you're not going to be going 100% in terms of effort. So I feel like during this rookie minicamp, they're getting him a feel for the technicality side of things, the actual scheme, the understanding of positioning and where to use your leverage. But in terms of the full force energy, in terms of the burst that you're looking for, he's not going to be quite there yet. And that's okay. This is the time to feel all of that out. But one thing remains to be clear, especially on the defensive line side of the football, at least for the Bills in 2025. They valued size in this draft. And the one thing that stood out in not only this article, but from all the media members that were able to join at the Bills rookie minicamp was, this is a massive human being. He's 6'7", 338 pounds. He is a man amongst boys, and we're talking about the biggest, strongest, and fastest guys on the earth playing this position. Look at this. I mean, he's a behemoth of a human being. So I'm not worried about him becoming a tree stump on this defensive line. In fact, I kind of look forward to seeing him stand out amongst all the other huge guys on the Bills defensive line already. Which leads me into my next winner, speaking of size. Landon Jackson. If you wanted to build an edge rusher just from like scratch, from the ground up, Landon Jackson might be the most prototypical edge and player in the NFL. But here's what The Athletic had to say about his rookie minicamp. It was expected that you could see Walker from anywhere around the practice fields, talking about the former player that I just mentioned. But almost unexpectedly, their third-round pick defensive end Landon Jackson has the size and the wingspan that makes nearly everyone else on a football field look small. Now, this picture doesn't do it justice. But when you take a look at 6'6" coming at you off the line, Landon Jackson is a scary, scary human being. And I know there was a video going around the internet most recently where it was Landon Jackson had that, like, it was about 5 years ago, where he was slapping the bags and he just looked like a shell of the player that he is now. Cut forward 5 years and where he's put on maybe 50 pounds of muscle and slapping the same bag, and it looks like a completely different player. It looks like a high school kid to a man. And that's exactly what you're going to be looking for in Landon Jackson. He fits the edge prototype better than anybody in the draft, in my opinion, point blank. This dude is huge. He's fast. He's strong. He doesn't have the bend that you're quite looking for yet, but when it comes to his ability to not only play the position from a skill perspective, but from an athletic perspective as well, Landon Jackson is going to be one of the most exciting and electric players that steps on the field for the Bills in 2025. All right, speaking of the Bills, 4,300 subscribers. It's a good start. It's a very, very good start. That's 4,000 subscribers gained since the beginning of January when we launched this channel. But I'm going to ask you another favor for us. On today's video, how many new subscribers can we get? My goal is 25, but if we can get higher than that, I'd be very, very grateful. So do me a favor, lock us in, and subscribe for the best Bills coverage here on YouTube. Our last loser, Jackson Haws. And Jackson actually had some highlight moments in rookie minicamp where they were talking about how good he was when he, in terms of catching the ball, and where he was like kind of sticking in his routes, which was really, really nice to see. The problem is that he doesn't offer much after he catches the ball. His yards after the catch and his ability to make plays happen after the catch is not good. I'm just going to be point blank about it. Here's what The Athletic said. Although Haws doesn't offer a ton after the catch, it was encouraging first showing. It was an encouraging first showing, considering his role for the foreseeable future as a third-string tight end. With that spot on the depth chart, you want dependability above all else in case of injury. Don't be surprised if he doesn't see the field much. With Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox, we've got two very solid tight ends that make one really good tight end. Now, If he were to come in on I formation packages or goal line packages as a blocking tight end, I feel like that's where he's going to be more used and his talents are going to be more properly weighed for the Bills in 2025. But he's not going to be a guy that stretches the field. He's not going to be a guy that goes over the middle of the field and is going to be a player that gets a ton of targets. I don't even see him being a red zone threat, really. I feel like 10 catches would probably be generous in the entirety of the season. But again, if you can add another body on the offensive line to chip block, come in on goal line packages, this is a very, very good place to start for Jackson Haws, the 5th-round draft pick out of Georgia Tech. That leads me to my final question as we wrap up today's video. Which Bills rookie will have the best 2025 season? Obviously, I have to go with Maxwell Hairston, but it wouldn't shock me if Landon Jackson was that other player. TJ Sanders, I should also mention, had a very decent showing in rookie minicamp. It was just kind of hard to find more stuff on him. There wasn't a lot of media coverage. In fact, even Sean McDermott, as I alluded to earlier, didn't really speak to the media. So it was tough to find stories and bits and pieces from rookie minicamp. But from what I found, TJ Sanders also had a very, very solid showing at his first time in a Bills uniform. That's going to do it for us on today's episode. Remember to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and send this to a Bills fan in your life. Until next time, my name is Moose. Be cool.